August 28th. It's Wednesday, and we have Larry and a few other people on the phone with us.
We're waiting for Tim now to join us. Hello, who's here? Tim Malcolm. Hey, Tim. Welcome.
Thanks, yeah, sorry, I just got a guy out of the shop.
I understand. Now, folks, I want to tell you something. I want to get this out of the way right away with Tim and I both. And Tim, if you don't add anything, please do. We are in no way, and you hear me, ladies and gentlemen, we are in no way promoting gun violence, any type of effort with guns or anything other than just information to help you if you're going to be a gun owner, if you want to be a gun owner, to have professional consultation on what you're going to, what you're not going to. Is that acceptable to you?
Absolutely.
Now, Tim is my gun shooter. He is, of all the people I've dealt with throughout the years, let me assure you folks, there is no one better. No one. And I wouldn't dare let anyone touch something of mine other than Tim. And there's a reason. You know, I need to know their work. If ever, God forbid, the case ever comes up, I have to, here's it, I got to make sure they work. And what scares me, with all of the talk about the Second Amendment and gun control, all of this and that and various things, what scares me is that people might think you have a firearm that you haven't seen it for 10 years, just a closet, you haven't had it out. And what I worry about is if it ever comes, once again, hopefully never, but if it ever comes to having you use it, will it work? Have you cleaned it? Have you done the things that need to be done in service? So with that, let me introduce Tim Malcolm. He is the owner of Malcolm Ballistic Tool. And you don't need to throw in here.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You want to say, Tim?
Hello?
Yeah, I need you to speak up, please.
Yeah. I'm trying to hear you, Larry.
Okay, is there anything you want to add to what I've said?
No, I think you're right on par.
What is the most common thing, Tim, that you see in your gun repair? What is the biggest thing that people bring in?
I'd say it depends on the time of year. I'd say across the board all year long, one of the things I do most is lap barrels. We're kind of a precision shop. I build precision rifles, and rather than having a rifle fully made to from the ground up to be a tack driver, sometimes I can go and lap the barrel that you have and turn that thing into a tack driver.
And so what does that mean? What does that mean, a tack driver, to my audience?
Well, we have a 10-shot, 3/4 MOA guarantee for rifles built here. Now, if you shoot 10 shots, I want to get that out of the way up front. 3-shot groups are not sufficient to show what the rifle can do. So when I speak of my groups, understand it's all 10 shots. But with a typical factory rifle, for less than $600, say, right? For a typical rifle like that, the precision you can expect is going to be about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. And here that's just unacceptable. We're looking for a ragged hole. We're looking for less than 1 inch. Well, everybody's looking for that. I mean, if I can make the gun shoot less than 1 inch for 10 shots, you're going to be clover leafing with 3, guaranteed. So, lapping the barrel is basically going through with a rod and very carefully honing the inside of the barrel. I use rods made of carbon fiber so that I can feel the inside of the barrel and I can feel the imperfections. I guarantee you, if you was to reach into the barrel and put a scratch on the inside, anywhere in there. I'll push a pass through and I'll tell you exactly where it is within a quarter of an inch. I will feel it. I will know where it's at. And so when I'm lapping a barrel, I'm going in there and I'm feeling for these imperfections and I just work them out. Basically, everything I feel is what your bullet feels. And so when I can start a patch from the chamber, a clean patch and a clean barrel, when I'm done lapping, when I can push that in and feel it load up and then just go like silk all the way to the muzzle, and I don't feel anything, that rifle's going to shoot.
All right, now let me ask you this, Dan. Somebody's got a rifle or a pistol. They haven't had it out in years. And let's take a realistic case. Let's say dust, lead particles, all manner of things have collected in the barrel.
Sure.
And what does that do?
But what that does is it gives an opportunity for rust to happen. And eventually what your guns are doing is they're decomposing. They're rusting, they're becoming set. And I'll tell you one of the worst things is if you were at one point oiling your gun and using it, okay? And then you go and put it up, say it's clean, and you put it up with oil in it. Over time, there was no full synthetic oil back in the day. They're all, dinosaur-based oils, right? And they do this thing called outgassing. Outgassing is where, this is why you can oil your gun up and say, you put it in the back of the safe for 3 years, and then you say, I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to hunt with it this year. You pull it out, and it's dry as a bone. What happened to the oil? You might touch it and feel kind of a slightly sticky residue this or that. You're like, that's strange. And you just oil it again, wipe it down with hops, and it's gone. Well, that works on the outside. That same thing would happen on the inside. So often what happens is the oil that was on the inside of the gun outgasses, and it becomes this sticky residue. And it builds and builds and builds, and then eventually your firearm, you take it out, and it won't cycle correctly. I've seen a revolver where you thumb back the hammer and you pull the trigger, and the hammer just slowly squishes down to its seat. That's never going to fire a rifle. Okay, I've seen a full auto rifle or a semi-auto rifle, like a Remington 742. You go and pull the trigger on the first shot, and it goes bang, and you see the bolt just creep back forward shut. And I'll give you an example of one pistol that this just attacks every stinking time. Say you got an old high standard target pistol. The trigger will not reset. You'll go and shoot one shot and the trigger won't reset. It's just stuck and it's sticky. They're very prone to it. All it needs is a good cleaner. I just had one of these last week. You can see it on my Facebook page. There's a high standard. I made a billet rail for the top of it. The other thing was that it needed to be repaired because it wouldn't shoot. Well, all it needed was to be cleaned. The old oil had turned to varnish inside, and it was a simple matter to scrub it out. And that's the biggest thing that neglect does. Now, I will add this, Larry. When I clean a firearm, and when I put it back together, I use Lucas full synthetic oil when I put it back together, so that won't happen. The Lucas won't outgas. They won't turn varnish no matter how long it's in there. So that's the reason you get your guns cleaned and serviced.
All right, now, folks, I'm going to take you a little ways, and then I'll let y'all ask them questions if you have any. You can ask him about selection of weapons. You can ask him about what you have. It doesn't matter. It's open for you to ask. But Tim, in my case, I have to make sure, you and I talked about it, that I have suppressive fire weapons. And would you tell the folks what that means?
You want me to tell them?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you're saying a suppressive fire weapon?
Yes.
Well, a suppressive fire weapon is a weapon that you can can lay down suppressive fire with. If you're being attacked by multiple assailants and you need to get their heads down so you can effectively escape and save your life, this is a weapon that carries maybe 20 to 30 rounds, and its main job is to lay down suppressive fire. You might catch somebody, you might not, but the main thing is send bullets over their heads to make it so you can escape. Would you agree with that?
You bet, 100%. Now, just the other day, Tim, I told you my rule of thumb. Tim has a tree back in his shooting range. And I don't know, what is it, maybe 10 yards from the range, or from the stand. And what did I tell you I do? That tree or beyond 10 yards.
You would get away with it.
I ran.
If the assailant is far enough away that you can escape without firing a shot, that's what we want to do.
Folks, always remember, if it's available to you, get away. Get away. Don't think you're macho. Don't think you're the Lone Ranger. Don't think you're wide earth. Get away. That's the safest thing you can do with a weapon.
Well, I agree, Larry, and the truth is, we do not, this goes back to your point you made originally. We're not into guns to take life. We're into guns to preserve life.
Right.
That's the whole point. If you can get away, do it. Don't be a hero. If you're being a hero, you're trying to shoot somebody. And honestly, except for certain situations, you don't need to be having a gun if that's your attitude. If you're employed with the U.S. government or the police, that's your job, is to be on guard to take life. I work for people like this, and I make sure that they are very well armed so that they can do their job effectively.
Like one of the things you learn in concealed carry, when you go to the school to get your concealed carry, one of the things they teach you right out of the chute, if you're confronted by somebody and you have to pull your weapon, holler as loud as you can that you get away.
Yeah.
Now you teach that course, tell them about that.
No, you're absolutely right. And this is also why I'm a big proponent of open carry in Arkansas. Arkansas is an open carry state. It has always been an open carry state, and there is no reason to have a concealed carry license unless you travel abroad, unless you go outside the state. In Arkansas, you can carry concealed or open at your leisure. Now, the only thing is, it's like, well, I've had lots of folks tell me, I don't want to carry my gun open because, that's irresponsible. That makes you a target. I beg to differ. Putting your hand up and saying, I am armed and you're about to die if you do not back down, that's making yourself a bigger target than open carrying your gun ever would. And open carrying, you are much more likely to get that firearm into your hands in time to save your life or someone else's. If the threat is so close that you must use your firearm, it is close enough that you must use your firearm. And I just wanted to throw that out there. Lots of people do not know that Arkansas is an open carry state.
In the state you're in, all of you need to check your local laws to see if you're an open carry. Now, there's one other thing. There's a legal reason why you must holler top of your lungs that you have a weapon and ask the person to leave. Just scream it out because you want witnesses, folks. We want witnesses to know that you did not intend, wake up in the morning and intend to go shoot somebody. That's what sick people do. That's not what we're talking about here. In every case where it is possible and practicable, funny word, practicable, it's military, but in every case you can, the object is to not shoot, is to not fire the weapon. Now, there's another problem that I talk about quite a bit, folks. on the other side of the street.
Very much depends on the particular bullet that you use. I always recommend a good hollow point or a large soft lead cast bullet.
Why?
Because it will stop when it hits a brick wall, which is the outside of your home, typically in these neighborhoods. Now you may have vinyl siding, etc., but whichever, there's a higher likelihood that your bullet is going to strike a 2x4 exiting your home than it is to hit some other person outside.
And this is very critical. This is critical. Now think about what you just told me. Now write this down. Write it down. There are two types of bullets that you want to get for home defense with any caliber, really. But what are they once again?
Well, there's the rapidly expanding hollow point, and I personally prefer a soft cast bullet. Okay, these both, you do what you want. Some people don't want to mess with cast lead. They're a pain. It's a hand loading thing. But I load my own ammunition, and that's what I like. But a good hollow point, or another option is a Glazer safety slug or its ilk. This is a pre-fragmented bullet that as soon as it hits a wall of any kind, it turns to dust. But it has enough energy to really put the hurt on an assailant that's trying to kill you. Glazer safety slugs are fantastic if you live in a densely populated neighborhood. Now, if you're like me, I'm out in the country. I got miles and miles of nothing but miles and miles. I load myself with typical hunting ammo. That's perfect out here. But I would never load myself in town this way. And, Larry, you make a good point about not being too awful macho. I can tell you right now, personal experience, a 38 special or 9mm is sufficient to stop 99.99% of the threats out there. In fact, one might say that if you need more gun than that, you have got yourself in more trouble than you can pass responsibility on for.
Now, let me tell you another weapon that you need to tell them about. That's a shotgun. Now, Tim, in my case, in a shotgun, instead of using what you see in the westerns, the double-aught buck, I use a light, what's called a game load, bird load. That's wrong, Tim.
In close quarters, just a typical home defense. Oh my gosh, you're that shot does not have time to expand. You're hitting folks with a wad of pre-fragmented lead pellets, like the best of both worlds, of what I was just talking about. You're hitting them with 80 to 100 soft lead pellets, and they are
about the size or a little bit smaller than.
Well, I mean, when the shot pattern would hit an assailant that's trying to kill you, it will look about the same size and shape as a 12-ounce soda can.
Yep.
And that's the size that was going to blow in it.
Yeah, now one other thing before we open up to callers, and this is a big pet peeve of mine. So many of you out there have pistols for home defense. The average burglar or robber is going to come into your home, not going to come in during the daytime. He's not going to come in most probably when you've got all the lights in the house on. Most probably they're going to come into the house and start here and there. Now, folks, night firing a pistol. Night firing a pistol. If you shoot that puppy, it's going to be loud. Don't worry about that. But there's going to be a flash. And you know what? When you shoot that first round with that flash in the dark, you're going to be blind. You're going to see spots.
Yeah, especially if you're using a 44 Magnum or some enormous caliber.
The other problem you got is the bad guy. He's going to know where you are because he's going to see the flash. And hopefully you'll break and run, but if he doesn't, he knows where you are generally in the lane.
Yeah.
Please be careful, maybe, because you have a pistol. somebody breaks in on you at night, then it's going to be like shooting a beer can out on the driveway. If it's not, police have to go through, and the military go through extensive night fire training. Be careful with that. Now, anything in the safety perspective, we're talking about the firearms of choice for self-defense, home defense. Is there anything else you want to add? Then we'll let people ask questions.
Well, I would just say the most important thing, you must practice with your firearm. You know, at the end of the day, when you're talking about typical home defense scenarios, you're talking about a target that's less than 30 feet in front of you. You're more like 10. You're probably looking at 10 feet. And I've got an interesting story about that, Larry. If you'll bear with me a second, I'd like to tell that. Now, I was out shooting with a fellow. And, you know, back in my 20s, I was, you know, quite a handy gunsmith. And I was pretty, you know, I had an attitude, all right? So I was out shooting with a buddy of mine who teaches concealed carry classes. And we were shooting at a bowling pin 65 yards in the distance. He was shooting a Mini 14, and I had my trusty Model 19 revolver loaded with 38 special with cast bullets. I beat him at 65 yards with that. And I was feeling all good about myself. And he said, Ted, have you ever shot for self-defense? Have you ever tried any drills like that? I said, well, no, but I'm down. I mean, I'm a good shot. And he said, well, come on over here. Let me show you something. Now, he knew it was about to happen, but I didn't. He pulled me up in front of this target, and it's just a white board he had, and he took out a Sharpie marker, and he drew a circle that was about 18 inches in diameter, maybe 12 to 18 inches in diameter. He said, Tim, he says, what I want you to do is draw your weapon from concealment, and he said, I want you to empty your weapon into this circle as fast as you can, like your life depends on it. And I'm kind of smirking, and the target is literally 10 feet away, 5 to 10 feet away. It's right in front of me. I can spit and hit this target. And he says, all right, when I say go, go. He said go, and I got a little tangled up with my shirt and everything, with my sidearm. I finally produced it, and I commenced to riddle that target with holes. And about half my shots missed that circle. He says, you see, it's a little different. And then he pulled his arm, and he drove the entire magazine into a group the size of a pop can at the same distance. And he did it so fast, there was a steady stream of brass coming out of his gun.
Absolutely, a very board that board was not shooting back at you, and we were not scared to the point of your knees shaking.
No, but it's still, even though I was calm, I was hurried. And what I'm suggesting to everyone listening, if you carry, and I suggest you do, the best thing you can do is take 200 rounds of ammunition, find a nice spot of private range, and look at you,
Hey, how you doing, man? Everybody, please go ahead, man. Find a private range.
Find a private range and burn the 200 rounds in an hour. The training that you learn, the mistakes you make in that hour will serve you the rest of your life. That's my opinion. And I believe it bears out. I do this for myself because I shoot 200 rounds regularly and I learn something incredibly important every time.
You know, one of the biggest mistakes that most people make, you go to a range, and as far out as you can shoot at the target 100 yards away or whatever. That's not realistic, guys. Remember this. In the real world, if somebody is that far away, run. Get your family, run. You're leaving it inside your home, inside your bedroom, or your living room. And it's not far. But for people to go and to see how far they can hit the target at 100 yards, that's a wasted opportunity for practice.
Really good advice, Larry. Really good advice.
With that, let me do this. Let's open the line. Anybody, if you've got a question to 10, just bring it up. It doesn't matter what it is. But once again, everybody knows this. This is being done in the spirit of teaching you to be safe, trying to make you a safer home protection person. And it is in no way, what we're trying to help you with, or what Tim's trying to help you with, no way are we suggesting any form of violence, or going out and rattling off rounds out in the middle of nowhere thinking you're not going to hurt anybody. Absolutely not. All right, so anybody got a question?
Yeah, we've got a question on the chat from Paul. How good is a Jimenez 9mm gun?
Well, I would not buy that firearm. It's very, I had one come through. I've seen they're very, very cheap. I would not use that firearm. Not unless you like the looks of it. You know, if you like the looks of it, you want to try it, and it's cheap enough, you won't buy it for pleasure's sake.
Well, now let me ask you something, Tim. That's a good situation in this field right there. A lot of us, if not most of us, can only afford to buy the weapon we can afford. That does not always allow us to buy weapons that you, as a gunsmith, would probably recommend.
I would beg to differ, Larry. Beg to differ. If you want to know what you can afford, if you tell me what you can afford, I can tell you a five that won't let you down.
Hang on, folks. If you're on the conference call line, please keep your phone muted unless you're getting ready to say something, because we've got a lot of extra noise.
And then what caliber would you recommend for a woman, female? In a
9mm, if she can do it. You know, 380 is also very, very good.
And guys, just so you know, when Tim rattles like a 380, generally it's a 380 semi-automatic pistol. The slug in a 380 is basically the diameter of a 9mm.
That's right, Larry. I mean, it's the same cartridge loaded weaker.
That's right. She's got a smaller powder charge, but it's the same slug diameter-wise.
Good diameter, yeah. And I tell you, the truth is, Larry, I don't think anybody should be trapped by that. You know, my wife has multiple sclerosis. She's a sick woman. She does not have much strength in her hands. I think you would be surprised how well that woman can handle a 45 1911. It is a heavy gun with a lot of metal in it, and it shoots a very nice low-speed cartridge. Some would call it one of the most effective self-defense cartridges ever. Well, when we first got our concealed carries, which we don't have now, we let it go, but I bought two of these guns, a little 3.5-inch officer's model 1911 called. And oddly enough, she could drive that gun just beautifully. Now, what she ended up finding out was not that it was too much recoil. The fact was it was too much weight for her to carry on her person. She doesn't wear a belt. And her purse is heavy enough that she can let to weigh it down. You know, I've talked to her about that, but she lets to fill that purse with rocks and bricks. I know they're in there every time I've lifted, but the gun was too heavy regardless. At this point, we've gone through several firearms for her, and she settled on the Ruger LCT, which is a 380. And I'm here to tell you, Larry, that gun isn't but $250 if you find a deal on GunBroker. And folks say, well, it's just a 380, and it's just a junky little gun that's cheap. Let me tell you something. That gun comes back with a Ruger guarantee. If anything ever happens with it, they will replace it or repair it free of charge. And you'll have it back in under 2 weeks, I guarantee you. shot a carpenter bee out of the air, midair, with that gun. I used to enjoy shooting one of those myself, and I probably put several thousand rounds through one. It can be incredibly accurate if you practice.
I'm going to ask you about a gun that most people are going to have either had or have, and that's the 22 pistol.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
What's the, all right?
Ruger also makes an SR-22. It's a tactical, can still carry style pistol. It comes with a 10-round magazine and ambidextrous controls, and it is incredibly effective. And the thing is, Larry, we're talking about self-defense inside a house. I'm here to tell you, you load that with good Winchester hollow points. Any joker that gets hit with 10 of those is going to be hurt. He's going to run the other way. It's overwhelming power when you consider that a woman can hold this gun, handle it, and direct fire. And that is the most important thing. Not only that, let's not forget the fact it's cheap enough you can practice with it. $18, you get 500 rounds, and by the time you're done with that in one afternoon, she's an expert.
Right.
Fantastic.
All right. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I've got another one online. This is from a woman. She says, should I get rid of my AK-47 and buy extra ammo for my 357 and my 20 gauge?
Larry? Well, all right, if you got an AK-47, that basically throws a round that's a 30 caliber round. It's heavy. It's good as an assault rifle. It's why everybody in the world uses it. But it's not very, to me, it's not very practical. And if you've ever fired one, many times, like if you go to the rifle range with an AK, folks, you have a gun, and you drop off a couple of 20 or 30 round clips in a row, the barrel of that thing gets so hot that it'll burn right through your hands. You touch it. I don't recommend it for home defense. I do not. It's heavy. It's hard to maneuver. It's very unwieldy. But now that's me. If you can handle it, if you can handle any gun, any weapon, if you can handle it and feel right with it, then use it. Use it. Now, I would say also that the AK is more of a suppressive fire weapon than some others, meaning that you can throw a bunch of rounds out in a semi-automatic, forcing anybody that's coming against you to save the duck, which could give you time to get away. But once again, you've got the problem. That's a fairly high-powered round, and you go popping it off in your home in a crowded neighborhood, and I would be very concerned about where your errant rounds go. Anything you want to add, Tim?
I would just respectfully disagree with you on the fact that it has a place. The fact is a woman can use it, and the fact is the recoil is very controllable.
Yes.
And the ammunition is cheap. And she already said that she has a 357, and I forget what the other firearm was. The 22? Did you say 20 gauge shotgun? 20 gauge shotgun. But look here. I would say buy a lot of ammo for that gun and set it back. The beautiful thing about the AK in this country, I assume she's calling from this country. Even if she's not, it's there if you need it. The only thing better would be an AR. Now, it's true the barrel heats up and all this, but it was meant to. If I was her, I would set that back and keep ammunition loaded in magazines for it, and keep it in case you need. Visualize this scenario, Larry. What if something happens to where your particular area is declared a police state? and there is chaos everywhere. You know, the shotgun is a wonderful thing for if people get in your house, okay? I'm just saying, if it gets to a point where you're in a temporary survival situation, I would say the AK-47 is one of the most powerful firearms ever devised by man for that purpose, for a civilian to spend their lives with. And it's
what Tim's describing when he talks about the situation is basically talking about the combat zone.
yeah,
If the day ever comes that your neighborhood becomes basically just a free fire combat zone, and now you're talking about a combat assault weapon.
yeah, yes, I am. And the thing is, that's a chance in a million that would happen, but it's also a chance in a million that your house catches on fire and you need to use a fire extinguisher. What I'm firearm, slide it in the corner and just keep it there. It costs you nothing to keep it. Okay? And it's there.
That brings up a point. Yeah, but that brings up a very tender point too. Children, I've had children, have grandkids, they're scared to death of having a firearm in the house. So what do? You get the gun, you take the ammunition out, we put the gun, we lock it away in the closet or a safe, then we separate the ammunition and put it up someplace where it can't be found. Right? The gun then is safe, and it's basically what you've done is make it kid-proof, child-proof.
Yeah.
But in the moment that somebody's breaking into your home, they're not going to give you time. Go unlock your safe, or find the closet you put it in, and then go to another room and get the ammunition that's up there in the top of the closet in the shoebox. They're looking. So what do you think, man?
A really good point, Larry, and everybody has to find their own place with it. Me personally, I'm a gunsmith. I have a daughter, okay? We don't have, there are loaded firearms everywhere here, and there have been since she was a little child. She was born into this life. We're still alive, Larry. The reason why is because we trained her. We trained her. We did not keep firearms from her. We put them down where she could get them, and we disciplined her accordingly. Now, that is not a popular view, and I understand that there's a lot of people that cannot do that. They cannot live that life. I understand that. That's why there's so few gunsmiths, okay? But I will say this, is that these firearms that you use to defend yourself with, I would humbly encourage folks, it is much safer, despite what you see on the news, it's much safer to teach your children gun safety and gun handling and keep those firearms in easy reach. Or strike a compromise. Keep the firearms out of reach for young, little kids. Those firearms out of reach where they can't reach them. That's a pretty easy thing to do. Keep them loaded, keep them ready. Now, you and I both just agreed on the fact that the AK-47 is not a home defense firearm. It's a wartime firearm. More or less. You can use it for home defense in the country. I would not use it for home defense in the city. But getting a safe for your firearm, if you're very concerned about young children, listen, they make safes that will hold one firearm like a handgun, and you lay your hand on it, it reads your fingerprints, and out pops the gun. Only you can open that gun. That's safe. I highly recommend folks look into those and pay whatever it takes. If that's what you need, if your personal child rearing constitution precludes the idea of teaching them how to use them, and I understand there's lots of folks that is exactly the case. They can't do that. That's okay. Their technology is a wonderful thing, Larry, and we have it. And I suggest people use it. It's not without the money to spend compared to the security system.
so far with recommendations. It's your life, it's your children. You know what you're capable of doing. I would only say beyond anything else, the kids, the children are involved. Always err on the side of safety. That's right. Never take a chance. If you're not sure of your children and their responsibility level, then you've got to deal from that perspective. So please don't think we're suggesting, I'm not. But you got kids, all you got to do is say, don't touch this, and they won't, and then you're okay. That's not necessarily true. You're right on. But it's your choice. It's your decision. Anybody else, Mariana?
Yeah, we've got a couple more. What gun has the best knockdown power but little kickback?
Like I say, in my case, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I like what he's referring to as the Model 1911 Colt 45, or the version of that, different versions. The 45 round is a big old slug. You get hit with it, you're going down. You're going down. Plus, that bullet will not go that far. It won't travel $500 million until somebody 10 blocks over. That's the safest big knockdown power weapon you can have. Now then, correct me.
I believe the 10 millimeter beats your 45, Larry. And the thing is, it depends on how many rounds you got in the gun. Which gun has the most knockdown power? I believe a Glock with a double stack magazine and 10 millimeter barely nudges out the 45 ACT. But I agree, the 45 ACT is a phenomenal option.
Now, is the 10 millimeter, is it bigger or smaller than a 45 slug?
It's smaller, but it's got so much juice behind it. This is like a 40 Smith & Wesson on steroids. And it delivers 1,200 foot-pounds of energy to the target. But, like we discussed earlier, a 45 ACT was designed for home defense. I mean, it was designed to stop inside the target, pop out the other side of the target, not keep going. 10 millimeter has no such plan. It is a Magnum cartridge. And I'm saying in a semi-automatic pistol, the 10 millimeter you can't. When you get to a revolver, I do believe that while there are many boutique cartridges out there, the 44 Magnum is very hard to beat in popularity versus knockdown power. Very, very hard to beat.
And now, folks, let me tell you, if you ever get on the other end of a 45, holding a 45 Magnum, or 44 Magnum, hold on, just got a buck. In a pistol, just got a buck. Anybody else?
Hi, Larry.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Amber Dawn.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Amber Dawn. I live in Southern California, and I listened to your show quite a while. And I've been going into how to keep our bodies healthy. I used to be a nurse. I retired when the hospice came in and wanted us to start killing the elderly by starvation, dehydration, and overdosing them on morphine. And I was wondering if I could maybe address help some people because everybody's sick. Yeah.
Can we do that on another day? So we can just, this is a weapons show. Contact me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have done so much research into this, and I have 6 children, so it's extremely important. And I vaccinated my children also, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's save that.
So I looked into this, and how can we reverse this? How can I? And all my children are boys, by the way. And I have my 22-year-old Teston. He has 0 sperm, and that's due to the HPV vaccine that every 9th grader has to get in order to go to high school. And they're spraying us with bacterial fungus. And it's in our food. It's just everywhere, and plus all the toxic chemicals and things like that. So the number one issue with Americans is we are a water, animal. We are. And we were salt people. And in the 1970s, they and then with the fluorization and everything else like that. So I was just wondering, and with cancer and all this fungal and everything, I've gone the cheapest, and the safest. It's amazing how much on our cues. I had fibromyalgia, congestional heart disease. I had Crohn's and celiac and lupus. I am now 100% better. I'm 100% better, and all I did was sea vegetables. There's you buy them online, it's called potentseed.com. It's sea vegetables. And then borax. It's called boron. It's right here in California, and what it is it's a salt. You take that and a pinch a day, 3 times a day, just a little pinch, and baking soda. And what that does, and they got this nanotechnology, which is it's a nanotechnology which grows inside them, and it's literally gut health. Okay, it's really gross. Gut health. Okay.
Speaking of this, honey, let me do this because we got people stacking up on questions. I like what Mary Ellen said. I think we ought to devote the programs talking about this. Ann and I are not the ones to.
Okay, so let me just say, holler out real quick to everybody. Everybody drink lemon water, okay? Cancer cannot grow in an alkaline body, okay? Lemon water, okay? 1 lemon a day, and a pitcher of water. Take a pinch of borax, which is boron oil, Team 2000 at Walmart. It's $6 a box. That'll last you 10 years. And baking soda. And then on top of that, everybody has this lung from all these chem lung, right? This is the oldest remedies of oldest remedies. Our ancestors did this forever. You take 2 onion pills. Listen to this. 2 onion pills.
Handle too much for.
Okay.
We have to get back to the call we were talking about.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
We do calls.
And we're done. We'll go.
You guys are talking about gummies. The most important thing is the ammunition. You want a bullet that's going to hit somebody.
Yeah, let's take a breath there. All right, Mary Ellen, what else have you got now? I'm sorry, I didn't mean for us to be rude to everything, but.
Well, Mary, I would like to say most of what she's saying is very good advice. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it just was it's just the wrong day because we're on another topic.
Good advice.
Yeah, are you predicting it is inevitable that everyone needs to defend ourselves with the use of firearms in the near future?
Now, Dan, I'm going to answer first. You answer only if you choose to. Guys, I have told y'all for some time, every day we are getting closer and closer to this country coming unglued. The Democrats and their zeal to take over our form of government are doing everything they can to incite different groups of people, different segments of society against each other. That is a broom that if you keep mixing it up, it's going to blow up. The reason I wanted to talk to y'all today and bring Tim on was because I strongly believe that if there has ever been a time in this nation's modern history, not the revolutionary times or whatever, if there's ever been a time when you have to fear for your family, for yourself and your family, of violence, gun violence, people driving by and shooting up your house, if there's ever been a time, it's now. And that's why I believe all of you will be much better off. My opinion, you're much better off if your home and yourself and your family is protected with a firearm. Pray to God you never have to use it. Pray to God the situation never comes that anybody has to. But this is not a time in our nation's history right now when you need to be playing around and think it just can't happen. Because it can. Ask the people in El Paso, ask the people in Cincinnati and all over the country. Now, Dan, anything from you on that?
Well, I would say that I agree with you 100%. However, there's a lot of people out there that do not understand basically what you and I
I have seen and where we're coming from. And to those people, and on a much more realistic, to them, basic level, it is just the fact that every individual is responsible for their own safety. When you need the cops, when seconds count, they're only minutes away. That's the fact. And at the end of the day, people call me a crazy, wild-eyed, right-wing nut job, and it's true. I mean, if I was more right-wing, I'd fall off the bird flare. I'd need a dang parachute. But the truth is, that I've seen it too many times, and it's heartbreaking to watch, but you're only one catastrophe away from understanding just how important it is that your safety is in your own hands. You have to make do until the cops get there. You have to make do until help arrives. And when making do means avoiding being shot, avoiding being horribly maimed, or heck with maimed, just your PTSD alone. This is bad. I mean, what about all these people in these shopping malls that get shot up? Every single one of them left that place saying, gosh, I wish I could do something. I wish I wasn't a victim. I wish there was some way that I had some control over my own destiny when somebody with a gun shows up and decides to take control of me and everything around me. And there's nothing I can do to. You're a slave at that point. You've been enslaved by someone with a gun. And that is not the purpose the guns were ever intended to be used for. The guns were intended to be used to keep you free at any time. And I say that this is the crux of the issue. If anyone ever shows up and decides to subjugate you, you have a say in the matter. Without a firearm, you have no say. You are a slave. And you never understand how enslaved you are until you're in that situation. And then it's too late. Well, I would remind that we all keep a dang fire extinguisher in our house. Why do we do that? Because we want to fight the fire. When fire comes, we want to have a say in the matter. Maybe it's enough, maybe it's not. We'll settle that when the fire comes, but at least we have a say. And I just get to say what I think.
And one thing that I told y'all a few programs ago, if you'll recall, I told you all over the country, because of the way the police are being treated, police are not filling their empty slots. I just saw today, I told you that Little Rock being 80% short of their recruiting. 80% in Little Rock, Arkansas, short of recruiting skills. That means they don't have enough cops working the streets. The other day, I saw on Fox where they were talking about police in general are running 60% short. I think 60%. Now, all I'm asking you to think about, just what Ken told you. For you to dial 911, it boils down to how long until the police can get there. Always, your first move should be get 911 if possible. But there's a point in time when you gotta wait. Sometimes the burglar, the killer, the robber, he may not wait. The rapist, yes. So, folks, I'm telling you, if there's ever been a time when I was there, and guys, I'm telling you, every time I was there to do a show like this, it's now. Marilyn, what have you got?
How important is it to keep paperwork in case they start confiscating our guns?
She wanted to know how important is it to keep paperwork if they start confiscating our guns. What paperwork, Larry? Well, that's my point. I would not want paperwork. Anything you have that has a paper trail, if they do, which I'm not counting on it happening, but if it ever came to confiscation, anything not going to let you run around with weapons in your home because you can defend yourself. They don't want that. You've got to be dependent on the state.
You're absolutely right, Larry. I mean, we were just, my wife and I were just talking last night, and we were watching an old show that was set in Europe, and I was commenting to my wife that why is it this way? Why are they just what they were doing was they were putting someone in prison for learning to write. This was old England, and I said, well, here's the deal. If you control the firearms, if you have control of people's means of defending themselves, and you say that the serf cannot have weapons, and then the very next step is to say the serfs cannot read, the serfs cannot write, they have no voice. That's all that needs to happen for total dictatorship. Now, that's all that is required. That's the only thing that makes America unique, is the fact that we have the ability to have a firearm or a weapon on our side, free and clear. This is our right to have this. And it's our right to do what you and I are doing right now. We're making our voice heard. We can write. We can speak without being encumbered. These rights they're not
without out of time. So, folks, if anybody's got any questions, just get them in right quick. We'll try to rock and fire and answer the ones that are out there. Anybody on the phone.
Yeah, one more question about the paperwork, and that has to do with buying it from a gun store. There's a paper trail there.
Terry had a question. Terry.
I got a Remington 370 200-quarter barrel. The question is raised is that it has some rust on the barrel. Is there an inexpensive way to clean the rust and keep it good oil? When I haven't worked it, do you recommend something else? What?
The best thing to do is Hoff number 9 and 4-on steel wool. Dampen the steel wool and rub vigorously. The steel wool is not strong enough to restrict your rust, but it will remove the rust. Now, you will still have holes in your bluing. If you need that firearm re-blued, if you want to set it back to original condition, you go ahead and call me. Look me up.
Let's do this right now, and let's do this. Folks, get your pencil right now. Get a pen and a pencil, or a pen and a pencil, because you're going to give me Tim's number. Now, Tim told me, this is just on average, if any of you have a gun, and you would like to have it serviced, you can ship it to Tim, and he can do it and send it back to you. Now, there's a procedure that he'll go over when you talk to him. But Tim, what is the number people can reach you?
The best number to reach me is 501-470-9599.
Did y'all get that?
501-470-9599.
And Mary Ellen will put that on the site, so Mary Ellen, that'll be typed in so people can have it.
I also look me up, Larry. Can I give them the Facebook page?
You bet.
If you go research Malcolm Ballistic Tools, that's MALCOLLBALLISTICTOOL. You type that into Facebook, you'll find my page, and you'll see the quality of my work.
And guys, I would recommend now, Jerry, one of the things that I do quite often, if I've got one that's got a little bit of rust showing up, and Tim will probably disagree with this, then I would take a pencil lid and rub the pencil lid over the rust spot. Oftentimes it will kind of help it. It doesn't go away with it.
Sure, Larry. I mean, anything you could do to prevent oxygen from getting to that rust, that will shut down the rust. It cannot remove it. Once rust has happened, it's like cancer,
Right.
but or leprosy. But to shut
Well,
it
now let
down,
me ask you this. Tim, if somebody has rust that has started, if they send it to you, can you redo it to the point to where there is no rust anymore?
yeah, absolutely.
No, okay.
Yes, sir. I do a lot of that. It's called refluid. Strip off all the metal down to below the depth of the rust tip, and then I run it through the tank. It's a hot tank fluid, and it grows that beautiful lustrous black finish back. And we take great care to make sure that nothing gets smeared and all of your sharp corners stay sharp, your lettering stays sharp. It basically brings it back to new, and the only way that you can tell that it has been redone is that it's just too good to be true.
Now, one other thing that Tim does that I want to mention, and I got to see this firsthand. I gave Tim a knife to thank him for what he's done for me. And he has the ability to engrave most anything, I suppose. And it was beautiful engraving on the knife. It's incredible. So if you have a gun that you'd like to have some passage put on or your name put on or whatever, please contact him. Because he's got an incredible machine that does that computer.
Okay,
Anybody else got a question?
gun cleaning products. You mentioned, I think you said Hops 9. Is that HOPS?
It's hold on, I've got the bottle here. This is an old product. HOPPES number 9 gun bore cleaner. It's one of the oldest. I've been using this since I was a small boy, and it really works quite well. The other products I use is Lucas Full Synthetic Gun Grease, Lucas Full Synthetic Gun Oil, and as a final finish, I use Renaissance wax, microcrystalline wax polish. These products comprise the entirety of how we finish and prepare firearms for clients.
Now, anybody else got a question, Mary Ellen?
No.
Anybody on the phone? You got one? Let us have it.
Yeah, this is Sandy.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, brother. Hey, Tim. Good information here. Well, I pretty well share my guns on the chat page, so just want to let everybody know in YouTube that I advocate supporting and complying with the law as it exists now. But there's going to come a time, probably sooner than later, just like Larry and Tim are kind of forecasting, and I agree with them that we must be prepared, and that this information, Larry and Tim, is just incredible. And I thank you. Love you both. So anyway, I pretty much share my guests out there on the chat. So no technical.
Now, Sandy, let me add to this. Add to that.
All right.
Folks, if you're planning to get a firearm, self-defense, or whatever purpose, or practicing self-defense or whatever, you might think about now is probably the time to do it. Because as Sandy was pointing out, as we tried to allude to, there may be a day coming when all of a sudden they're not going to let you do it. They're not going to let you purchase them, or it's going to be harder to purchase them. And then when that happens, the price of guns goes through the roof. So, as a friendly suggestion, if you're interested and you're thinking about it, now is probably about as good a time as any to get serious about getting one.
Larry, well, thank you, but I might also add that there's a proposed, somebody might do the research on it, but there is a proposed, I think, in the process of a very stiff tax on purchasing ammunition. Yes, sir. I'm just wanted to point that out. You guys.
Yeah, and let me say, Stacey, let me point out to everybody, and you can jump in here as well, but every day, if you open your eyes and you just look at the Democrats that are running for president, we're not even talking about the ones in Congress or in the House or the Senate, I'm just talking about the ones you see on the running for president. Every day we are getting closer and closer to socialism. Every day. And with socialism, I promise you, ask any country, when you start dealing with socialism, they're not going to let you be armed. You're not. They're going to do everything in their power, and they will instantly make you a felon if you're holding a firearm and don't turn it in. You'll become a felon just for having one. That's why I work so hard to tell everybody, yes, we've got to vote November of 2020. We've got to, for all of our rights, not just the guns in the Second Amendment, but all of our rights are in jeopardy.
That's right, Larry. Well,
I'm sorry, Sandy.
No. I think Larry's absolutely right. But just keep your eyes open. Larry is absolutely correct. I believe that. And that election may buy us a little more time. But the time is very, very short.
So, I absolutely agree. You have seen Tim in gun business for most of your lives. Every time there has been a movement to restrict guns, or even just to talk about restricting a certain type of weapon, maybe an AK or what they call an assault weapon. What happens to the prices the day they even bring it up?
Skyrocket. Matter of fact, I've got a story about that very thing. I had a friend who went and bought a cheap AR-15 just before Sandy Hook, the big shooting out there. You and I have our own views on what that actually was, but nonetheless, it was propagated on the TV, and it was accepted as what it was. Well, he bought an AR-15 just before that with a bunch of magazines, just for fun, and he gave the princely sum of about $750 for these items. A few months later, he sold the AR-15 and the magazines for $3,500, and he was able to repave his driveway with asphalt. This is hit for tat. Yes, for buying before and after disaster strikes. And before and after the news media gets done doing what they do to us. I highly vote to listen very carefully to what Larry is saying right now.
Well, let's do this. Does anybody have a question that has to be asked?
Hi, Larry. Larry, this is the lady that asked about the AK-47. I'm a single mother with 3 children, and I was asking about the 20 gauge I have. I have it because I like it and I'm comfortable with it and I hunt with it. Do I need, that's the best home defense. Did you say birdshot?
Yeah. Yes, that's what I recommend. Now that's me. You know, what is your preference? But you've got a wonderful weapon in a 20 gauge. It's good for you to handle versus a 12 gauge. But I would still look at throwing game mode versus like buckshot.
Okay.
Close range, I absolutely agree with Larry. When you're talking 10 feet or less, which is typical home defense scenario, a birdshot is horrible. I mean, just for the person that's trying to get you, it dumps the maximum amount of energy into their body as quickly as possible, and it stops them, which is what you want. You want to stop them. Even if you make a horrible shot and you miss, a few of those pellets are going to catch them, and it's going to stop them. And that's what you're after.
Well, may I make a point that you said here? Also, have a little shotgun there or any kind of shotgun, if you know somebody's entering your house, just pop that thing, cock it, and that may make them run.
Yeah, racket at this point in time, or they'll respond to it.
Absolutely. So,
I don't want anybody, Sandy, almost anybody all over there, they've been around with weapons much more, recognize when you ratchet the shotgun. They'll recognize that sound.
yeah, or 45.
Yeah, I think here, guys, once again, the object is to not have to pull that trigger.
Hey, Larry, I got you a little sound effect here in the MBT shop. That's the sound.
Even hey Larry, even I recognize that sound.
Hey, Larry,
Yes, ma'am.
about the 357, you said it would be better to have 38 load in it.
Well, my preference is a 38 load, but remember, please, all of you, I am absolutely allergic. I am to any round, any bullet that can escape your house if you're forced to use it. And so I'm a firm believer in a smaller load. And if you just don't go outside your house, that scares me to death. I can't live with all the shooting, somebody trying to get in my home and a bullet missing and going across the street and killing baby. That just scares me to death.
I agree with Larry. I personally had to use a 38 special for putting down a deer, etc. that was wounded. And I'm here to tell you, it's very, very viable. And there's something to be said for a slower moving projectile with a properly expanding hollow point. Please hear my emphasis on properly expanding hollow point. Just go outside the 38 special Golden Saber, Spear Golden Saber. Great ammo, just great ammo.
And guys, so that you know, most all of the weapons we've talked about here, I haven't seen them work in real life. And it's terrible carnage once they're fired. It truly is. Just be sure that you know what you're doing. You pull that trigger, be sure you know what you're doing, and it better be down to your life. Being absolutely threatened.
Larry, at this point, we need to wrap it up.
I want to close with one other thing. There's a tale that is told all the time. If somebody is breaking into your home and you're forced to shoot, and they fall outside of the home, you need to drag the body inside so that way you're safe from being prosecuted. Folks, that's not true. Not true. Not true at all. If you shoot somebody outside of your home, you can drag them in your home all you want to. But there's going to be a blood trail. It never works. It never works.
Larry, the best thing
If
to
you
do
do be shooting anybody that's outside of your home, you should be warning them to get the hell away.
any shooting that you're in, Larry, and this is something that everybody should listen to, any shooting or any confrontation of any kind that you're in, when the cops show up, your answer is, I want to see a lawyer. Do not say anything to the police officers. They are servants, and I've got bless them for what they do. But their job is to find their job is to find evidence against everyone involved. Say nothing. Go and say true. You need to see your lawyer. Say nothing. You have a right to
Don't be disrespectful. Now, it's not saying be disrespectful. You can be respectful.
Yeah.
But don't say anything. And just don't. Just prove it. That's just smart. You're not trying to be disrespectful. You're not trying to do anything. You're just in a situation as serious as a shooting. You need to have legal counsel before you answer one question.
That's right. Okay. Save your life and ask for your lawyer. Say nothing.
Okay, could you guys, this is Sandy, Sandy, could you guys give, I know there's a couple of organizations that provide legal services. Would that be appropriate for you to disclose those at this time?
You know, Sandy, I don't know who they are, and I don't want to be recommending something like that if you don't mind, because
Oh, no. I understand. Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, guys, I've got so little respect for lawyers. You know, I don't know what else to say.
You and me
Man,
both.
anything you want to say in closing, brother? All right. Dan, anything you want to say in closing, sir?
No, I just really appreciate you having me on, and I've enjoyed every second of it.
I just want to say thank you, Larry.
Well, thank you. Will you give your number once again and how people can get in touch with you? And if y'all want to ask him a question, he will take your call and he'll answer.
Absolutely. It's 501-470-9599. And Larry, I really appreciate you having me on and everything you're doing for us and people who believe like us.
Thank you, buddy. For y'all, until tomorrow, thank you for coming. We'll be on at the same time. We'll go back to our normal program, which will be, don't know what that is, Mario. It's not on the conference call. It'll be the
It's Larry Nichols' official channel, Live with Larry Nichols.
all right, guys. With that, Tim, thank you so much for taking your time. And folks, we're dead serious about this stuff. We truly are. This was not meant for entertainment. It wasn't. So with that, let's make a good day. Mary Ellen, you can have it.
Okay, that's it. I'm going to hang up on the phone and just unplug the microphone and just talk into the computer. Just remember, folks, Larry is here only because somebody has provided the money for his medications so that he can be with us, because without it every day, he will not be here for very long. So to donate, his PayPal is nicholslive@aol.com, just using his last name, Nichols Live, Live, at AOL.com. And you can go to the website for a link, nicholslive.com. There are links to the PayPal. There is his address for sending cash only. He cannot cash checks of any kind. And there is a phone number. You can send a text message if you need to find a different way to donate. I will call you back if you send a text message to that number, and we'll help you figure that out. That's it. I have to get out the door because I am supposed to have somebody come looking at my house in a few minutes. So we're all done. Thanks, folks. See you tomorrow. Bye.